Over the years, I've built a lot of LEGO Minecraft villages. There's a vibrant plains village with its quintessential blacksmith, a quaint little snowy village, a sprawling desert village, and even a snippet of an abandoned taiga village. Yet there's one village type that I never gave any proper attention to, and that's the Savanna village. So what if I dedicated an entire Minecraft display to recreating a proper, complete Savanna village? And to spice things up, let's have this village generate not just in any old savanna biome, but the windswept savanna. I think the results could be pretty neat. So you know what all this means. It's time for a brand new LEGO Minecraft world. There's going to be more tiling time, more olive green flower stems, more crazy techniques, more funny figures, and best of all, there's going to be brand new monthly episodes for you to look forward to. I'm really excited to share what I've been cooking up for this series, and there is a lot to do. So hey, what are we waiting for? Let's get to building. Let's get things started with a bang with a full chunk for this first module. And I know that gap in the middle looks appealing, but trust me, it's not important. There are a few noteworthy things about this base though that are different than previous Minecraft models I've done before. In the last LEGO Minecraft world, I used standard LEGO Technic pins to connect the modules. And honestly, that ended up being one of the biggest frustrations of the entire series. At the scale of these models, they just did not connect smoothly together, and even when they did, they really didn't provide all that solid of a connection. So this time around, I'm opting for the use of Technic axles instead. Each hole can accept half of a 6-long axle, which is going to give us a much sturdier connection, and it's also going to be much easier to fit these together. We won't know definitively how well this new system works until episode 2, I suppose, but I feel pretty confident this is going to be a huge time saver in the long run. But anyway, let's talk about the build itself and the plan here. To start things out on this full chunk module, I'm going to be building one structure, and that's a rather iconic one for the Savanna Village variant. That's the Fisherman's Hut. I really like this one because it's built up on stilts, and my plan is to actually have it sitting above a small little river or lake. In order to accomplish that, I'm gonna have to build up the terrain a little bit so we could even get some underwater sections here. I love building underwater stuff. It's a great opportunity to add some of the sea life, including both the plants and maybe even some fish if I'm feeling ambitious. And so that's what you're seeing here. A lot of those sand and dirt blocks that are all going to be underwater. For this project, it's not my intention, at least, to have underground modules in the same way I did in the previous Minecraft world. But come to think of it, I said that same exact thing in the last series too, so who knows what's gonna happen here. A similarity I can guarantee between these two series, though, is, of course, some sweet, sweet tiling time. Now, all I've done here is tile off the riverbed, so don't you worry, there'll be plenty more tiles to come. So let's go ahead and decorate that riverbed with some seagrass. I'll be using some pretty familiar elements to accomplish this. Of course, the 1x1 5 petal piece in green. These are great. They show up at the LEGO store pick-a-brick wall all the time. You can probably get like 500 to 1,000 for the $8 that it costs to fill a container, which is great. And I'm just gonna vary the heights of these randomly to make it look like it's animated and organic like you see in the game. To make the taller seagrass, I've got those blade elements that's a flexible rubber piece. For some reason, whenever I build with these, I'm reminded of the Hobbit Dol Guldur sets. I had the smaller one as a kid, and it came with those in medium nougat. It's just a cool element. It looked like rusted metal, super creepy. But here it takes on a totally different friendly vibe in green as tall seagrass. The juxtaposition of these really flat 2x2 tiles and then these hyper detailed sections of seagrass really tickles my brain. I love it a lot. So next I'm gonna lay some of the foundation of the structures that we've got coming up here. These little fence platforms are going to form the base of those little struts that the fisherman's hut will be built atop. And then actually I'm adding some to the other side too. This is going to be just a player built bridge. Now, the real tricky part of this module is going to be the water, and that's where I'm employing the help of this wonderful, wonderful brick. This is the 8x8 trans medium blue plate, and it's quite the desirable element, costing you around 10 bucks. I really wanted to try to make the water transparent in this build, meaning that light will actually come in from the surface and illuminate all the seagrass below. This might have been easier and cheaper to accomplish using trans dark blue, especially since LEGO is now making 2x4 plates actively in that color and they're available on Pick-a-Brick. But there's something about the trans light blue that really called to me, and it does let a lot more light through. So naturally this begs the question, why did I whip out the transparent medium blue 8x8 plate instead of a transparent light blue plate? Well, technically, the transparent 8x8 light blue plate does exist. It's exclusive to a singular Belleville set. And initially, I was crazy enough to try and pursue this option. These plates are indeed even more expensive than the transparent medium blue ones, and the real kicker is that mostly they're just sold overseas. I had a French seller quote me to send one over, and because of the current tariff situation, he said it would cost $200 for just a single plate. And that's when I realized the transparent medium blue plate compromise was going to be just fine. They're slightly more common, they're less money, and I already had some on hand. Plus, once they're covered in tiles, I really struggle to see the color difference on them anyway. So let's go ahead and build half of that bridge that I talked about earlier. This is not a structure that spawns naturally in game. I'm just thinking this is a player enhancement to a village. I'm using masonry bricks here to represent planks. Remember, those bricks are double-sided. They just have straight lines on the back, which can be really useful for creating fun textures like this. Next, I'm bringing back one of my favorite techniques, which is the indented village path. Just like in the game, I want the path blocks to be just ever so slightly lower than the terrain around it. Not quite a full plate, but instead half a plate. And this is accomplished using brackets on their side. It's always a little tricky to wrap my brain around the dimensions to get this quite right, but I find the extra effort is what makes these Minecraft builds so special. With the pathing in place, I'm going to quickly build out the rest of the island so we can start on the main event, the actual fisherman's hut. And I'm going to start that out by building the stairway that leads up to the front door. And it's crazy to think that even a couple of years ago, it might not have been possible to build these. There's been a lot of new dark orange snot bricks in the last few years, which are going to play a huge role in this project. Hopefully, throughout the course of 2026, LEGO will continue to recolor useful dark orange brackets so we can use them here. Oh yeah, and LEGO, if you're listening, also bring back that 8x8 trans light blue plate. Another small part of this structure are the barrels that generate around it, and for some reason in-game, these don't have any loot in them. And now it's time for serious tiling time. Somehow, LEGO has never officially produced a 2x2 olive green tile. That means we're stuck with either using 1x2 olive green tiles or 2x4 olive green tiles. I've gone with the 2x4 tiles because they just feel more blocky to me. Thankfully, LEGO does make olive green 2x2 jumpers. I'm going to temporarily remove that stairway for easier access, and then we can get to tiling. These transparent jumpers are another relatively new addition to the LEGO parts portfolio. Super useful. I've been putting in quite a few Bricklink orders while making this video, and 2 more 8x8 plates arrived, so we can continue working on the water. All in all, this module alone is going to use 4 of those 8x8 plates, and we'll use more in the future too. I'm only using them where they're absolutely necessary for structural stability. For the rest, I'm using the far smaller but far cheaper 1x2 transparent light blue plates. As LEGO continues to produce more transparent pieces, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of standard transparent plates show up in the next few years. I'm still waiting on one last order to fill in this gap, but I promise we'll get to it eventually. The next step is just going to be simply building up the terrain. Now, we might not be building underground modules, at least we're not planning on building underground modules, but I really want to add a ton of verticality to this build because this village has generated within windswept terrain. So what that means is that there's going to be an episode down the line where we don't build below this module, but we will be building above it. So there is going to be a cliff that kind of overhangs the fisherman's hut. I'm super excited to bring that to life in this series. And so here you're seeing one of the waterfalls that is cascading down from that upper platform that we will eventually build. I've got a lot to figure out before we get to that point, but don't worry, we're gonna keep ourselves plenty busy by building out the ground layer first. And speaking of ground, this ground looks a little too studdy for my liking. Let's fill it out with some tiles. And oh boy, you cannot have a savanna biome without olive green grass stems. Now these are expensive parts, and that's because they were only included in a handful of sets back in the day. And furthermore, it's just an extremely desirable and useful color. People love putting these in all manner of mocks, not just Minecraft builds. Thankfully, I stole all the olive green grass stems from the previous Minecraft world, and many of you guys over the years have actually donated these either in person at conventions. I've received some in the PO box. I've gotten these at Bricks and Minifigs meet and greets, and honestly, because of you guys, we might have enough to pull this off. And I definitely want to extend a thank you to Marcus Robular, who gave me a huge bag of these at Brickworld. I promised him I'd put them to use, and here we are all this time later, and they're all gonna end up on here without a doubt. He told me he had a ton left over from his 2015 Fallout 4 mock, a mock that I'm guessing a lot of you have actually seen before. Now I'm going to install a big chunk of that back cliff wall. And this is only part of it though. We're going to go even taller and further out towards the fishing hut in the future. But like I said, we're going to save that for an episode later down the line. There's some structures that I'm going to put up here, and it should be really cool. And ultimately, it's just going to feel very different than anything that was done in the previous Minecraft series. But anyway, let's go back and finish building the most important part of this episode, the fishing hut. There's 6 acacia fence stilts that the building will sit atop of. You'll probably remember the ones that we installed underwater earlier, and these line up perfectly with those. I'm once again making use of the side of masonry bricks to get as much of that plank texture into the build as possible. Technically, the fisherman's hut actually has nothing in its very small 1x3 block interior, but I figured I could at least put a crafting table in here. For the acacia door, I'm using dark orange grill tiles atop a 2x4 transparent plate. This one is in remarkably good condition considering it's probably from the 70s or the 80s when this part was originally produced. Again, this is another element I'm guessing we'll see return here in the next few years though. I'm so used to LEGO Minecraft builds being super sturdy, so I never expected this to happen. Whoops. Thankfully, there was no reddish brown in the build, otherwise it probably would have actually shattered the elements themselves. With a bit more care, I was able to reconstruct it with no issues. I'm using the underside of 2x2 jumper plates to represent the acacia log rings. I think it works pretty well. And for the bark of the acacia logs, I'm using Old Dark Gray. Old Dark Gray was retired at the tail end of 2003 and was replaced with the dark bluish gray color that we all know and love today. Even though it might be a lot more tricky to work with and harder to source, the warmer tones of Old Dark Gray just work really well for the savanna biome. And thankfully, we also got these grooved profile bricks produced in that color, which really replicate the log texture quite well. And now it's time to tackle the roof. The construction of this reminds me a lot of the one I did for the Plains village back in my previous Minecraft world. The techniques I used on that were kind of bonkers. People were asking me how I made that thing for years, and I honestly have no idea. This is going to be a lot more straightforward, and I feel the techniques have been refined a great deal since back then. This roof is going to be a lot more solid and should make a lot more sense. You can see here how each layer tapers in just that half a plate, and that's essential for creating Minecraft stairs, which the roof of this structure is comprised of. By wrapping these slab sections around that central base, everything comes together really smoothly, and the final result is quite satisfying to look at. I've textured the outside here with dark orange 1x2 tiles to help differentiate each individual block. Even though the structure is essentially only two different colors, the old dark gray and then the dark orange, all these different shapes of bricks and all these textures that they offer really helps keep this structure quite interesting. We've got profile bricks, grill tiles, masonry bricks, the undersides of jumpers, and I think that's one of my favorite things about building Lego Minecraft creations like this. It really helps you see so many pieces in a different light, and it forces you to get creative with the limited options that you might have. I had an order come today that gave me just enough parts to finish off the water here, but we're not quite yet done with this build. There's something that I really have wanted to add to my Lego Minecraft creations for quite a while now, and that's lighting, and proper and consistent lighting. I dabbled a bit in the previous Minecraft world, but this time I'm working with Light My Bricks to go all out. They were kind enough to send over a bunch of lights for the rest of the modules that I'm going to be making. I became familiar with Light My Bricks when I had the opportunity to use them for a big commission I did just a few months ago for Microsoft. I had heard nothing but good things about their lights, so I decided to purchase a ton to light that thing up. The experience was awesome, they're super easy to use, and so it was kind of a no-brainer to reach out to them before starting on this project. One of my most frequent lighting suggestions in the old world was to light up the underwater sections, which tended to get a bit dark. So even though these underwater sections here in this module are far shallower than any of that, I still think this is going to be a cool place to add light and even some movement. So I'm going to be using Light My Bricks pulsing blue lights to just add some animation to this space. I've got 3 of these lights in this module, and then we'll be using more in future ones too. Now things are going to get a little bit more interesting when it comes to lighting the structure, and that's mostly because of the stilts that it sits on. There's not a lot of good ways to hide these wires, so I'm going to break out the drill. And this is actually a completely legal technique. In fact, the only people who have to adhere to Lego legality are the designers. You are welcome to do whatever you want to the bricks that you purchase with your own money, especially when the outcome is something cool like making the build look better by hiding away some wires. All I'm saying is, don't let people tell you what you can and cannot do with your Lego bricks. I'm speaking from personal experience when I say Lego YouTubers generally have no idea what they're talking about anyway. When it comes to the lights that I'm using here, these are the Micro Aster lights in warm white. I chose these specifically because they are the smallest lights that Light My Bricks produces, and it means they're going to be the easiest to fit into these very, very small gaps, especially when I have to wire 3 of them up the same tiny hole. It's a bit of a slow and painful process, but the end result is going to be so worth it. 2 of these lights are going to be for the torches that are on either side of the door, and then one of them is going to be an ambient light for the interior that you hopefully should see through the door and also through the back window. Now I am going to end up changing my torch design from the paintbrush to something that has a transparent top so I can fit the LED bulb inside and that it glows. Obviously the opaque orange was not going to do the trick there. I'm kind of glad that I shadowed the build earlier in this video because it is definitely not a mistake I'd want to make now because it would rip all the wiring out of place and that would be a colossal pain. So I'm going to be much more careful as I reconstruct the fisherman's hut. The new torches are in place and the last light I got installed is just a quick little overhead light connected to the roof. It's going to be held in place by 2 1x2 transparent plates on the bottom, and that should be plenty fine to let lots of light through and hold it securely as well. All right, moment of truth. Let's take a look at this. Lights are awesome. I think it is always going to be one of my biggest regrets that I didn't incorporate them more consistently throughout the previous world, but hey, I'm not making that mistake again. I can only imagine what a whole village full of these is going to look like. So sincerely, thank you to Light My Bricks for sending these over and helping support this project. Genuinely, I can't recommend their products enough. The wires are so thin they can fit perfectly under any plate, and they're so much more durable than the previous brick loot lights that I used to use. And Light My Bricks customer service is much friendlier than brick loots too, so they've got that going for them. The last thing I want to do is add in some minifigures, of course. And you're going to be seeing a lot of the new sets for next year in this display. And we're going to start out with the chicken costume guy from the chicken farm. This set won't release until January 1st of 2026, but this is definitely one worth picking up. Not only does it have this new skin, but it also has one of the new cold biome chickens in dark bluish gray, and it includes the new fox mold. The old version of the fox was one of the most clowned on Lego Minecraft mobs ever, but the designers heard the feedback and introduced this vastly superior custom dual molded fox head that is absolutely perfect for the mob. I'll add another player skin who's actively looting the village. This is the blacksmith from the creeper mine. And then of course I need to add a villager. Unfortunately, we don't have a Savanna fisherman yet, but I think this farmer will be a perfectly fine substitute in the meantime. I'll also add a burning skeleton taking refuge beneath the cliff. I'll see if I can get this one to light up eventually in a future episode too. And there you go. That's our first brand new Savanna Village module completed. Next time, we're going to finish that little bridge we started and see what's on the other side of the river. One thing I know that we'll find over there for sure is a brand new custom iron golem design. And if you'd like to see that episode right now, you can watch it early by becoming a channel member. And I do want to extend a huge thank you to all the people who stuck around as members even after the original Minecraft series ended. They're the reason I was able to fund this first module and showcase it to all of you. This really was a delight to make, and it was cool being able to take everything I learned from the first LEGO Minecraft world and bring it into this creation here. I'm looking forward to filling this world with new crazy techniques and any new mobs and figures that LEGO releases in their official sets over the next few waves. Man, it sure would be cool if we saw more Savanna Villager variants, but I'm not going to get my hopes up quite yet. But anyway, that's all I've got for this time, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a great life.